everyone, Michelle Lim here. I am bringing you another video, and today we are going to be talking about a couple of different types of humor again. Um, Specifically, put down humor and put down humor in a couple of different forms. So, we have put down humor for celebrities, put down humor for people in your life, and also put down humor for hecklers who you might encounter when you're doing your comedy. To start off with, I wanted to say that I've always said I want to be a feel good comedian, right? So I don't like making fun of people. I just don't think that is that's not how I want to get my laughs. But then in saying that, I do have times when I'm making fun of certain things or certain situations, and that includes people. And Stephen writes this important point. He says, there are some people that don't like being the idea of making fun of others. They believe it's not nice, and of course they're right. But here's the thing, comedy is not nice. It's unflinchingly, unapologetically honest. And comedy looks at life and says, a lot of this sucks. Let me be specific. And a lot of life does suck. But comedy is an entertainment that calls out the bad stuff, it ridicules the bad stuff. And by taking the things that we struggle with and worrying about and ridiculing these things, comedy transforms them from overwhelming to laughable. So I guess that is a good point. I'll go through the next couple of styles with you, and then it's up to your judgment to see how far you want to take it. I think that if there's a good observation that can be drawn from some sort of put down humor, then that's great. But if you're just making fun of someone for the sake of trying to get a cheap laugh, then maybe you want to think about how you approach your comedy. So for the first topic, it's celebrity put downs. There's a couple of things to note for this. Obviously, the first key to creating successful celebrity put downs is you need to make sure that the person that you're talking about is famous and people in the audience are going to know about them. So if you're going to a certain place, for example, I found like a lot of my jokes from Australia, I can't really use them here because people don't know the Australian celebrities that I talk about. So, one, make sure they're famous, and two, you need to make sure that the thing that you're making fun of is universally acknowledged. So, you can't pick an obscure thing um, about a famous person that nobody really knows because it's not going to be obvious enough what the joke is for the audience. So he says, for celebrity put down humor to work, a famous person must be lined up with his or her most famously recognizable foible. So when that happens, you can go to town. Um, the next one I wanted to talk about is put down humor for people in your life. Um, Again, I guess it depends on how you do it. I think there's one thing that you need to be aware of, and Stephen says this as well. You need to make sure that the audience is on your side before you start making fun of people. If you just start coming up and you start putting down your mom or like making fun of your girlfriend or your boyfriend without any backstory, then everyone's going to think you're a jerk. So you need to make sure that everyone is on your side and you have some sort of context before you start making fun of other people in your life. Otherwise, everyone's just gonna think you're an asshole. So, yeah. So basically, that's what he says. He's like, you can't start off your joke with "my girlfriend's an asshole" because we don't know your girlfriend and we don't know you. So if she's an asshole, why are you dating her? And what sort of person calls their girlfriend an asshole? An asshole, that too. So I thought that was a really good point that we needed to consider. Um, so the other thing that Stephen says is when you're talking about someone else's shortcomings, you can't just talk about how bad they are. You need to talk about how their shortcomings create a struggle for yourself and get the audience on your side because of that. So, um, yeah, like if you're talking about what the shortcomings of the other person is, then you need to explain like how that affects you, and also in doing so, you should also kind of do a little bit of self-deprecating humor as well to like kind of even the playing field, so it doesn't look like you're just insulting one person and you're like this perfect person that doesn't have any flaws. Um, and then the last bit that I wanted to talk about was hecklers. So I have a video on hecklers specifically, and I was glad to know that a lot of the stuff that I've talked about is reinforced in Stephen's book. But basically, with hecklers, what you want to do is first you want to give them a chance. So don't interrupt. Like if someone shouts something out straight away, you don't want to like come back at them straight away. You want to give them a chance to see if they are going to, put their foot in it again. So Um, you want to make sure that the audience is on your side and the audience is aware of what's happening before you start going at this person. And also, you have to make sure, as I said before in my other video, some of the hecklers, they're not really hecklers. They're just really enthusiastic, or they're drunk and they're trying to get in the conversation, but they're not putting you down. They're kind of trying to add to stuff. And that's not a good time to attack someone, because they're just trying to have a good time, even though it's probably not the best way to do it. They're going to feel, I don't know, you're gonna look pretty bad if you're making fun or insulting someone who is just trying to, be involved, even though it's not the best way. So you got to make sure that they're a real heckler, that they're trying to insult you, and that's when you can really like unleash your terror on them. Um, so he says, first, make sure the person is a heckler. Second, you have to get the audience on your side before you heckle. So don't respond to them at first. And then third, you have to have the heckler jokes that keep your audience on your side. And you also need to tell the heckler that you want them to be quiet. So you can't just, respond to the heckler and then not say anything about being quiet, because then the heckler might think, oh, this is an opportunity. He's inviting me to do this, like, battle of the wits sort of thing, which is a good point. And I didn't mention that in my previous video. So make sure that when you're dealing with a heckler, give them a chance and see if they be quiet. If they're not going to be quiet, you need to get the audience on your side first. And then thirdly, tell the heckler what you want them to do, which is just to be quiet until the end of your set. So yeah, they're the three styles that I wanted to go through this week. There are so many styles. I might start putting in some more, but I just didn't want like all the ideas to get confused. Also, I have not had any feedback except for Adrian, thank you, about my last gig. So if you've watched it, let me know what you think. That's all for me. I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much and have a good week. Bye.